Hello each and everyone, the one who is watching my video. This is Ankita, your commerce educator, welcoming you to Global Online, where we are taking classes for NET and SET exam preparation. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss 50 most important MCQ on business environment and international business unit. This is one of the most important topic from the exam point of view. ये लेक्चर देखने के बाद आपके जो सारे डाउट है रिलेटेड टू दिस टॉपिक वो सारे के सारे क्लियर हो जाएंगे और आपको ये भी पता चल जाएगा कि किस तरह के क्वेश्चन एग्जाम में पूछे जाते हैं। ये लेक्चर देखने के बाद अगर आपके जो डाउट है वो क्लियर हुए या नहीं ये देखने के लिए हम आपके लिए लेकर आए हैं फ्री इवैल्यूएशन टेस्ट। ये टेस्ट देने के लिए आपको हमारा जो ऐप है ग्लोबल ऑनलाइन वो अपने प्ले स्टोर से डाउनलोड करना पड़ेगा, जहां पर आपको ये लोगो दिखेगा। डाउनलोड करने के बाद आपको उसके स्टोर में जाना है और अपना जो पेपर है यूजीसी नेट कॉमर्स पेपर 2 वो सिलेक्ट करना है। सिलेक्ट करने के बाद उसके कंटेंट में जाना है और कंटेंट में जाने के बाद आपको जो टेस्ट है वो मिल जाएगा। ये जो टेस्ट है वो सभी स्टूडेंट के लिए फ्री है। ओके और एक इम्पॉर्टेंट बात, ग्लोबल ऑनलाइन आपके लिए लेकर आया है कॉमर्स पेपर 2 कोर्स, जहां पर आपको मिलेंगे कंप्लीट वीडियो लेक्चर, मोर देन 100 वीडियो लेक्चर्स वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग यू, नोट्स वो भी डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन के साथ, टेस्ट सीरीज विद द डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन, प्रीवियस ईयर पीडीएफ विद द डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन। द ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द कोर्स इज 1 ईयर और इसकी जो फी है वो इंक्रीज हो गई है और वो अब है 7000। अगर आप ये कोर्स लेते हैं तो पेपर 1 का जो कोर्स है वो आपको हम फ्री में प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं। डोंट वेट फॉर द लास्ट मोमेंट, डू ज्वाइन अवर कोर्स एंड क्लियर योर अपकमिंग एग्जाम। Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, that is MIGA. In this question they ask you about the MIGA and the options given are: it is a sister institute of World Bank, is an insurance agency of US government. Third option is a part of Asian Development Bank, and the last is the sister institution of International Development Agency. To answer this question you have to understand what is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. So here MIGA is an international institute that promote the investment in developing country by offering the political and economic risk insurance. By promoting the foreign direct investment developing country into the developing country, the agency aims to support the economic growth, reduce the poverty and improve the people's life. Okay. So here the first option is a sister institute of the World Bank. The World Bank group consists of 5 institutional arms. The first 2, that is IBRT and IDA, together make the World Bank. Okay. The other 3 are MIGA, IFC and ICSID are the sister organization that supports the bank activity through the specific program. Second is about the insurance agency of the US government. Insurance in the United States refer to the market for a risk in the United States, the world's largest insurance market by premium value. Third is Asian Bank Development. The Asian Bank Development is a regional development bank established on the 19 December 1966. Is a headquarters in the Ortigas Center located in the city of Metro Manila, Philippines. Third is Sister Institute, part of Asian Development Bank, which I explain you, and the last is a sister institute of International Development Agency. The IDA is a member of World Bank Group and a headquarters in the Washington DC in the United States. It is established in 1960 to complement the existing international bank for recommendation and reconstruction and development by lending to developing countries which suffer from the lowest gross national income. Here the correct answer for this question is option number A. The Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency is a sister institute of the World Bank. The next question here is, as per the recent FDI policy, 100% investment through the automatic route is not allowed in. So here in this question they ask you about the FDI policy and they ask you given which is not allowed after 100% investment through the automatic route. For this, the first option is petroleum refining by the PSUs. So, according to the existing FDI policy, up to the 49% of a FDI is a permissible through the automatic route in the petroleum refining PSU without any disinvestment or dilution of domestic equity in the existing PSU by the government. However, policy allow the 100% FDI through the automatic route in the petroleum refining in the private sector. Okay. Second option is oil and natural gas exposure. The Department for a Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade on the issued and the executive order to allow the 100% foreign direct investment under the automatic route for a oil and gas PSU in case the in principle approval for a strategic disinvestment has been approved by the government. Third is mining and mineral. As per the present FDI policy, 100% FDI under the automatic route is allowed for coal and lignite mining for captive consumption by the power project, iron and steel and cement unit and other eligible activity permitted under and subject to the applicable law and regulation. And the last option is none of the above. The answer here for this question is option number A. As per the recent FDI policy, 100% investment through the automatic route is not allowed in the petroleum refining by the PSU. The next question here is which of the following is not a method under the foreign direct investment? So here what is foreign direct investment? Foreign direct investment is when the investor living in the one country invests in the business based in the another country. Okay, that is called a foreign direct investment. Under the FDI, the foreign direct investor or an individual or a business own the 10% of the company where the investment is being made. Okay. For this, the first option is wholly owned subsidiary. Here the wholly owned subsidiary is a company whose common stock is 100% owned by the parent company. Wholly owned subsidiary allow the parent company to diversify, manage and possibly reduce its risk. Second is joint venture. Joint venture, that is JV, is a business entity created by a two or more party, generally characterized by share the ownership, shares return and risk and share the governance. Third is global depository receipt. Global depository receipt, that is GDR, is a general name for a depository receipt where the certificate issued by the depository bank which purchases the share of a foreign company create a security on a local exchange backed by those shares. And the last option is acquisition. And the acquisition is when one company purchases the most or all of the another company's share to gain the control of that company. That time we say that it is an acquisition. Purchasing more than the 50% of the target firm stock and other asset allow the acquirer to make a decision about a newly acquired asset without the approval. So this is the concept of the four options. I hope all these options are clear to you. The answer for this question is option number C, that is global depository receipt. Which of this is not an objective of protectionist trade strategy? Here they ask you about the objective of protectionist trade strategy. Now what is protectionist trade strategy? It allows the government of a country to promote the domestic producer and thereby boost the domestic production of goods and services. Gross domestic product, that is GDP. Gross domestic product is a standard measure of the country's economic health and the indicator of its standard of living. For this, the first option is protection of domestic industry. Second option is promoting indigenous research and development. Third is protecting right of the nation. And the last is conservation of the foreign exchange reserves. Okay. Here the important objective of protectionism is the infinite industry, then is diversification, then is improving the term of the trade and improving the balance of the payment. Okay. The answer here for this question is option number C, that is protecting right of the nation is not an objective of protectionist trade strategy. Other three, that is protection of domestic industry, promoting indigenous research and development, and conservation of the foreign exchange reserve are the objective of protectionist trade strategy. In this question they given you two statements. The statement 1 is the balance of a trade record the export and import of only the visible good. And the second is it comprises of the balance of the trade. For this the options given are only X is correct, second is only Y is correct, third is both the X and Y are incorrect, and the last is both the X and Y are correct. Here the balance of trade refer to the export and import of the visible item, that is material good. It is a difference between the value of visible export and the import. Visible item are those items which are recorded in the custom written. For example, material good exported and imported. That means the answer for this question is option number D, that is both the statement given are correct. Here there are two statements. The statement 1 is Mexico is the member of Nafta, and second statement is Nafta started functioning from the 1st January 1994. And the options given are only X is true, second is only Y is true, third is both X and Y are true, and the last is both the X and the Y are false. The what is meaning of a NAFTA? NAFTA means a North American Free Trade Agreement, was an agreement signed by the Canada, Mexico and the United States. Please remember the country's name, that is Canada, Mexico and the United States, because you received the question on this. Okay, that created a trilateral trade bloc in the North America. The agreement came into the force on 1st January 1994. The correct answer here is option number C, that is both the statements given are true. The next question here is UNCTAD means the United Nations Conference on the Trade and Development is established by the United Nations General Assembly in when and it was its headquarters at where. So here they ask you about the United Nations Conference on the Trade and the Development. Okay, and for this the options given are 1964 Geneva, second option is 1965 New York, third option is 1964 Paris, and the last option is 1965 Geneva. The United Nations Conference on the Trade and the Development was established in 1964 as a permanent intergovernmental body, and its headquarters location at Geneva, Switzerland. As per the explanation, the answer for this question will be option number A, that is 1964, and the headquarters is at the Geneva, Switzerland. Which of the following is not an argument in the favor of free trade? In this question they ask you, given which is not the argument in the favor of free trade. For this the options given are economic utilization of the world productive resources, second is division of labor on an international scale, third is break the domestic monopolies, and last is conservation of foreign exchange of the country. Here what is a free trade agreement? Free trade agreement is a pact between the two or more nations to reduce the barrier to import and export among them. Under the free trade policy, goods and services can be brought and sold across the international border with the little or no government tariff, quotas, subsidies or a prohibition to inhibit their exchange. The correct answer here is option number D, that is conservation of the foreign exchange of the country is not an argument in the favor of free trade. Okay. The next question here is which of the following is not a demerit of MNC? Here they ask you about the demerit of the MNC. Now what is a MNC? MNC is a multinational company, is a corporate organization that own and control the production of a goods and services in at least one country other than its home country. Control is considered an important aspect of the MNC to distinguish from the international portfolio investment organization, such as some international mutual fund that invest in the corporation abroad simply to diversify the financial risk. For this, the first option given here is MNC may destroy the competition and acquire the monopoly powers. Second is MNC retard the growth of employment in the home country. Third is MNC provide a means of integrating national economy. And the last is through the transfer pricing MNC avoid the tax in the home country. So here the some of the demerit of a MNC are problem of the technology. Then will be the political interference. Then is a self-interest. Then is the outflow of the foreign exchange. MNC provide means of integrating national economy is not a demerit of the MNC. So the answer here for this question is option number C. Which of the following is not a form of a counter trade? Okay. So in this question they ask you given which is not a counter trade. For this the first option is buyback. Now what is a buyback? Buyback is a counter trade occurs when the firm build a manufacturing facility in the country or supply technology, equipment, training or other services to the country and agree to take a certain percentage of the plant output as a partial payment for the contract. Then is compensation ideal. Compensation trade require company to provide the machinery, factories or a technology and to buy the product made from this machinery over a agreed on period. Third is counter purchase. Now counter purchase involves the two separate transactions, each with its own cash value. Buyer pay with the hard currency whereas the supplier agree to buy a certain product within the specified period. And the last is purchase on the credit. It's simply termed when the organization or a customer purchase the good from the seller or a supplier and agree to pay the consideration or a value of that product of the goods on the same future date. Then it is called a credit purchase. Okay. Whenever the credit purchase take place, the account payable will be the secondary creditor is a credited. So the purchase on the credit is not a form of a counter trade. Trade between the two or more than two countries is known as. In this question they ask you the trade which is happening between the two countries or more than the two countries and it is known as, the options given are internal business. Here the international business means which is happening within the nations, within the country. Second is external trade. External trade which is happening outside the country, outside your own nation. Third one is international trade. Now what is international trade? International trade is the exchange of a capital, goods and services across the international border or a territory because there is a need or a want of a goods or a services. In most of the countries, such a trade represents a significant shares of a gross domestic product, that is GDP, while the international trade as a exists throughout the history. Okay. Its economic, social and political importance has been on the rise in the recent centuries. And the last is unilateral trade. A unilateral trade agreement is a commerce treaty that a nation imposes without regard to the others. It benefits that one country only. It is a unilateral because other nation has no choice in this matter. It is not an open negotiation. The answer for this question is option number C, that is international trade. Which of the following is incorrect in respect of entrepot trade? In this question they ask you given which is the incorrect in the respect of entrepot trade. The first option is it is a kind of a external trade. Second option is it is basically a trade in which imported goods are re-exported with or without any additional processing or a repackaging. Third is and entrepreneur goods face import and export duty, open shipment for the port, and the last is Hong Kong is one of the world largest entrepreneur economy. Here the entrepreneur trade means importing goods from the foreign country with the purpose motive of exporting them to the another country at the higher price. It is a trade of a transshipment. Merchandise can be imported and exported without paying the import duties in the entrepreneur trade. It is a combination of a export and a import trade, and it is also known as a re-export. The important center for entrepreneur trade are London, Hong Kong, and Singapore. The benefit of entrepreneur in the past was that it removed the need for a ship to travel the whole distance of the shipping route. Here the option C will be the correct. At entrepreneur good face the import and the export duty upon the shipment from the port is the incorrect. Which of the following are true about the Incoterms? Here they ask you about the Incoterms. For this the options given are: the Incoterms are the set of internationally recognized rules that define the responsibility of the buyer and the seller for the delivery of the good under the contract of the sale. Second one is Incoterms are a replacement for the sale contract as they include everything pretending to such a contract. Third is Incoterms do not apply to all the sale contract and must be expressively incorporated in order to apply. And for this they given you the code, and from this code you have to select the correct one. Now first of all, to answer this question you have to understand what is the Incoterms. Incoterms are a set of internationally recognized rules that define the responsibility of the buyer and the seller for the delivery of a good under the contract of the sale. They are created and published by the International Chamber of Commerce, that is ICC, and are received from time to time. Incoterms 2020 came into the force on 1st January 2020, replacing the Incoterms 2010. Incoterms are not a replacement for the sale contract. However, as they do not address the number of a key area, including the specification of the goods sold and a time, place, method or a currency of the payment of the price, Incoterms do not apply to all the sale contract and must be expressively incorporated in order to apply. For this the correct answer is option number C, that is 1 and 3 are correct. Here is the next question in which assertion and reason is given. The assertion is, as per the theory of mercantilism of international trade is a zero-sum game. And for this the reason given is, under this theory, accumulation of a wealth take place at the cost of the another trading partner. The options given are both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of the A. Second one is both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of the A. Third one is R is the true, but A is the true, but R is false. And last is A is the false, but R is true. Here the theory of the mercantilism attribute and measure the wealth of the nation by the size of the accumulated treasure. Mercantilist policy were used to colonial power as a means of exploitation, whereby they charged the higher price from their colonial market for their finished industrial goods and brought a raw material at a much lower cost from their colonies. Under this theory, accumulation of a wealth takes place at the cost of the another trading partner. Therefore, international trade is treated as win-loss game, resulting the virtually in no contribution to the global wealth. Thus, the international trade becomes the zero-sum game. The correct answer here for this question will be option number A, that is both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of the A. The next question is, classical theorists Adam Smith and David Ricardo in their model of international trade assume that the options given are there are two countries, two commodities and two factors. Second is labor is the only productive input as far as the value of a commodity is concerned. Third is production function obey constant return to the scale. And the fourth is input although mobile domestically are completely immobile internationally. And for this they given you the code, and from this code you have to select the correct one. So here, according to the classical writer, differences in the cost from the basic of the trade, differences in the cost may be of two types, that is absolute cost differences and comparative cost differences. As per the classical theorist, there are two country, two commodity and one factor, that is 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1 model. Classicalists argued that labor is the only productive input as far as the value of a commodity is concerned. The value of a commodity is determined by the amount of a labor embodied in it. Here the answer for this question is option number B, that is labor is only the productive input as far as the value of a commodity is concerned will be the correct. Then is production function obey the constant return to the scale is also correct, and input although the mobile domestically are completely immobile internationally is also correct. So 2, 3 and 4 is the correct answer for this question. The factor endowment theory of international trade assumes that there are, and the options given are 2 country, 2 commodity and 1 factor. Second is 2 countries, 2 commodities and 2 factors. Third is 2 countries, 1 commodity and 2 factors. And the last is 2 countries, 1 commodity and 1 factor. So, according to the HO theory, factor endowment theory is carried up by the 2 countries, 2 commodity and 2 factor of the production, that is a labor and a capital. According to the HO, a capital abundant country will export a capital incentive good, while the labor abundant country will export the labor intensive good. So the answer here for this question is option number B, that is factor endowment theory of international trade assume that there are 2 countries, 2 commodities and 2 factors. The next question is a country is said to be in a complete state of autarky if it does not engage in the international trade with any other country. Second is engage in the international trade with the limited number of a country. Third one is engage in the international trade with the maximum number of the country, and the last is none of the above. Now here the autarky and the economic system of a self-sufficiency and a limited trade. A country is said to be in a complete state of autarky if it has a closed economy, which means that it does not engage in the international trade with any other country. A country is said to be in a complete state of autarky if it does not engage in the international trade with any other country. So the answer here for this question is option number A. The next question here is which of the following is not true in respect of a WTO rules of origin. In this question they ask you given which is not true in respect of a WTO rules of the origin. The first option is the rules of origin are to be criteria needed to determine the national source of a product. Second is all the government of the world follow the uniform practice with regard to the rules of origin. Third is rules of origin are used to be implement, measure and instrument of the commercial policy such as anti-dumping duty and safeguard measures. And the last is all of the above are the true. The rules of origin are the criteria needed to determine the national source of the product. Their importance is derived from the fact that a duty and a restriction in the several cases depend upon the source of the import. Okay. There is a wide variation in the practice of the government with regard to the rules of the origin, while the requirement of a substantial transformation of the universally recognized, some government apply the creation of the change in the tariff classification, other ad valorem percentage creation, and yet other the criteria of manufacturing or a processing operation. The answer here for this question is option number B. All the government of the world follow the uniform practice with regard to the rules of the origin are not true in respect of WTO rules of the origin. The next question here is international trade contributes and increase the world. For this, the first option is population. Now, what is a population? Population typically refers to the numbers of a people living in a single area. Okay, whether it is to be in a city or a town, region, country, continent, or the world. Government typically quantify the size of their resident population within their jurisdiction using the census. Second is inflation. Now, what is a inflation? In the economy, inflation refers to the general progressive increase in the price of the goods and services within the economy. When the general price level raises, each unit of the currency by favor goods and services constantly. Inflation corresponds to the reduction in the purchasing power of the money. The opposite of inflation is the deflation. Okay. Third is economy. And the economy is a last state of the interrelated production and consumption activity that aid in determining how scarce the resources are allocated. This is known as a economic system. Okay. And the last is trade barriers. Trade barriers are the government included restriction on the international trade. According to the theory of a comparative advantage, trade barriers are detrimental to the world economy and decrease the overall economic efficiency. International trade contribute and increase the world's economy. So the answer is option number C. Given what refers to the tax imposed on the imports. Okay. For this, the first option is imported tax. Import tax are the fee imposed by the government on the product imported into the country. Duty and tariff are both considered the import taxes. These are typically paid by the importer of the record bringing good into the country. Second one is tariff. Tariff is a tax imposed by the government of a country or by the supranational union on the import or export of the goods. Besides being a source of the revenue from the government, import duty can also be the form of the regulation of the foreign trade and a policy that taxes the foreign product to encourage or safeguard the domestic industry. Third one is subsidies. A subsidy or a governmental incentive is a form of a financial aid or a support extended to an economic factor, generally within the aim of promoting the economic and social policies. And the last is import quotas. An import quota is a type of a trade restriction that set a physical limit on the quantity of the good that can be imported into the country within the given period of a time. Quota, like other trade restrictions, are typically used to benefit the producer of the good in that country. The correct answer here is option number B. Tariff refers to the tax imposed on the imports. The main promoter of the trade liberalization was. Here in this question they ask you the main promoter of the trade liberalization. Now here, what is a liberalization? Liberalization is a broad term that refers to the practice of making the law, system and the opinion less severe using the sense of eliminating a certain government regulation or the restriction. For this, the first option is GET. Now, what is the full form of GET? GET is a general agreement on the tariff and the trade. It works to promote the trade among the country by reducing the tariff and the quota. However, due to problem in some sector such as agriculture, the GET suffered huge setback and ultimately the WTO or a World Trade Organization was introduced. Second one is Nafta. Nafta is North American Free Trade Agreement was implemented to promote the trade between the US, Canada and Mexico. Third one is SEPTA and the last one is CISA. Here the full form of CISA is the Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency, is a United States federal agency and an operational component under the Department of Homeland Security oversight. Its activities are Constitution of the National Protection and the Program Directorate. CISA was established on the November 16, 2018 when the President Donald Trump signed up into the law the Cybersecurity and the Infrastructure Security Agency Act 2018. The correct answer here is option number A, that is GATT is the main promoter of the trade liberalization. The next question here is which is an important reason for the economic integration. Okay. So here in this question they ask you given which is the important reason for the economic integration. Now here the economic integration is the unification of the economic policy between the different states through the party or a fully obligation of a tariff and a non-tariff restriction on the trade. So first option here is geographic proximity. Geographical proximity refer to the great extent to the location of the firm. They integrate the social dimension of the economic mechanism or what is something called a functional distance. Second is democracy. Now here the democracy is a form of a government in which the people have authority to deliberate and decide the legislation or choose the governing official to do so. What is considered the part of a people and how the authority is shared among or a deliberated people as change over a time and at a different rate in a different country, but over a time more and more of a demographic country inhabit have generally been included. Third one is totalitarianism is a form of a government and a political system that prohibited all the opposition party, outlaw individual and a group opposition to the state and its claim and exercise an extremely high degree of control and regulation over a public and a private life. And the last option is common law practice. The common law is a body of a law derived from the judicial decision known as a case law rather than the form of the statutes. The common law derived is a authority for the universal constant and the practice of the people from the type of immoral. The answer here for this question is option number A, that is geographic proximity is an important reason for economic integration. The next question is apart from the India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, who are the other members of countries of the SAARC? For this the options given is Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand and Singapore. Second is Nepal, Bhutan, Malaysia and Maldives. Third is Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. And last is none of the above. Now what is the meaning of a SAARC? SAARC is a South Asian Association for the Regional Cooperation. Is a regional intergovernmental organization and geopolitical union of the state of South Asia. It is a member state of the Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. The correct answer here is option number C, that is Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. Which of the following is not the main purpose for the formation of the SAARC? So given which is the not main purpose for the formation of the SAARC, and the options given are to combat terrorism, second is to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia, third is to form the mutual defense against the foreign aggression, and the last is none of the above. Here the major objective of a SAARC are to quicken the economic growth, social progress and cultural development. Second one will be to develop the welfare of the people of South Asia and to provide and promote them the quality of the life. Third is to promote towards a mutual trust, understanding and appreciation of the problem of one another. And the last is to make the self-reliance among the country of the South Asia. To form the mutual defense against the foreign aggression is not the main purpose for the formation of the SAARC. So the answer is option number C. The next question is, SAPTA is the trade agreement by. So here, what is a SAPTA? The agreement on the SAARC preferential trading arrangement, that is called a SAFTA, was negotiated in the year 1993 by the 7 developing countries that were a member of a South Asian Association for the Regional Cooperation, that is a SAARC. For this, the first option is ASEAN nation. Association of a South Asian nation or a ASEAN is an organization formed by the government of Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand and Singapore in 1967 to promote the economic growth, peace, security, social progress and cultural development in a Southeast Asian region. Second one is APEC nations. The Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation is an intergovernmental forum for a 21-member economic in the Pacific Rim that promote a free trade throughout the Asian Pacific region. Third one is SAARC nations. The South Asian Association for a Regional Cooperation, that is a SAARC, is the regional intergovernmental organization and a geopolitical union of the state of the South Asia. And the last one is EU nation. The European Union is the political and economic union of 27 member states that are located primarily in the Europe. The union that has a total area and estimated total population of about 447 million. SAARC nations is the correct answer for this question. What is the full form of the ASEAN? So here they ask you about the full form of the ASEAN. For this, the options given are Association of a Southeast Asian Nations. Second one is Administration of a Southeast Asian Nation. Third one is Administration of Southern Eastern Asian Nations. And the last one is Organization of a Southeast Asian Nation. ASEAN is a Association of Southern Eastern Nation is a political and economic union of 10 member states in the Southern East Asia, which promote the intergovernmental cooperation and facilities economic, political, securities, military, educational and social cultural integration between its members and other countries in the Asia. The ASEAN primary objective was to accelerate the economic growth and through that the social progress and cultural development. The full form of the ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So the option A is the correct answer. The European Union is the free trade association that is based on or an economic and the monetary union is the first option. Here in the Economic and Monetary Union is a type of a trade bloc that feature a combination of the common market, custom union and monetary union and established via trade pact. And EMU, that is the Economic and Monetary Union, constitute the 6 of a 7 stage in the process of economic integration. And the EMU agreement usually combine a custom union with the common market. Second is economic union, third one is monetary union and the last one is a commonly agreed upon list of a lower tariff. Here the tariff is a specific type of a tax that governing body imposes on the goods or services entering or leaving the country. So here the option A, that is the economic and monetary union, is the correct answer for this question. The next question is, which of the following institution is not a member of the World Bank Group? In this question, they ask you given which institute is not a member of the WBG, that is a World Bank Group. For this, the options given are International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that is IBRD. Second is International Development Association, that is IDA, third one is International Monetary Fund IMF, and the last one is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, that is MIGA. The World Bank Group, that is WBG, is a family of the 5 international organizations that make a leverage loan to a developing country. The organizations are the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that is IBRD. Second one is International Development Association, that is IDA. Third one is International Finance Corporation, that is IFC. Fourth one is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, that is MIGA. And fifth one is International Center for the Settlement of the Investment Dispute, that is ICSID. India is a member of 4 of the 5 constituent of the World Bank Group except the ISSID. Here the option C is the correct answer for this question. International Monetary Fund is not a member of a World Bank Group. Which of the following is incorrect about the International Monetary Fund, that is IMF? For this, the first option is the IMF was conceived at the UN conference in the Bretton Woods in July 1944. Second one is, like a development bank, the IMF also lent for a specific projects. Third one is, SDR is an international reserve asset created by the IMF in 1969. And the last one is, decision making at the IMF reflect the relative position of its member country in the global economy. IMF was conceived at a UN conference in the Bretton Woods in July 1944. A core responsibility of IMF is to provide a loan to the member country experiencing the actual or a potential balance of payment problems. Unlike a development bank, IMF does not lend a specific project. SDR is an international reserve asset created by IMF in 1969 to supplement its member country officials' reserves. Unlike a General Assembly of a United Nations where each country has a no vote, decision making at the IMF was designed to reflect the relative position of its member country in the global economy. The answer here for this question is option number B. Like a development bank, the IMF also lent for a specific project is the wrong here. Is not a correct because the IMF not lends for a specific project like a development bank. The next question here is, which of the following statement is correct about the International Labour Organization, that is ILO? So the options here are, it was created in 1919. Second is, ILO, that is International Labour Organization, become the first specialized agency associated with the UN. Third is, India is a founder member of the ILO. For this they given you the code and you have to select the correct one. So it was created in 1919 by the Versailles Peace Treaty ending World War I. ILO became the first specialized agency associated with the UN. The ILO brings together government, employer and worker of 187 member states to set the labor standard, develop policies and devise programs promoting a decent work for all the women and men. Unlike the other United Nations specialized agency, the International Labour Organization as a tripartite governing structure representing the government's employer, worker, India is the founder member of International Labour Organization. So as per the explanation, option D will be the correct answer for this question. That is, all of the above are correct. Which of the following institution shall help a country if a balance of a payment of that country is in a adverse condition? So here in this question they ask you, given which institute shall help the country if that country balance of a payment is in the adverse condition? For this the option first is International Monetary Fund. Here, the IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, is an organization of 190 countries working to foster the global monetary cooperation, secure the financial stability, facilitate the international trade, promote the high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce the poverty around the world. Second one is World Bank. World Bank is an international financial institution that provides the loans and grants to the government of a low and middle income countries for the purpose of pursuing the capital project. Third one is World Trade Organization. Now, what is a World Trade Organization? This concept must be clear in your mind, because this is one of the most important topic in this unit, because most of the time you receive the question on the different types of institution which are there in this topic. Okay, so here the World Trade Organization is an intergovernmental organization that regulate and facilitate the international trade. Government use the organization to establish, reverse and enforce the rule that govern the international trade. It officially commenced the operation on the 1st January 1995, pursued on the 1994 agreement, thus replacing the general agreement on the tariff and the trade that had been established in 1948. And the last option is none of this. International Monetary Fund shall help the country if the balance of the payment of that particular country is in the adverse condition. So the correct answer here is option number A. The next question here is, which of the following institutions are called the Bretton Woods twins? For this, the first option is World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Second one is World Bank and Asian Development Bank. Third one is International Monetary Fund and World Trade Organization. And the last one is none of these. The two organizations were agreed to set up the conference in the Bretton Woods in US. They are known as a Bretton Woods twins. Okay, so here you understand the meaning of Bretton Woods twins. IMF was supposed to oversee and monitor the economic performance of the member country and warn them of any developing economic series. And there are 147 members in the IMF. So now here, if we talk about the IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, then it is an organization of 190 countries working to foster the global monetary cooperation, secure the financial stability, and facilitate international trade, promote the high employment and the sustainable economic growth, and reduce the poverty around the world. Then is the World Bank. World Bank is an international financial institute that provides the loan and grants to the government, low and middle income countries for the purpose of pursuing the capital project. Okay. Then another one here is Asian Development Bank. What is Asian Development Bank? It is a regional development bank which is established on 19 December 1966, which is a headquarter in Central, located in the city of Metro Manila, Philippines. The company also maintains 31 field offices around the world to promote the social and the economic development in Asia. The correct answer here is option number A. World Bank and International Monetary Fund are called as Bretton Woods twins. Which of the following is correct about the World Trade Organization? In this question they ask you, given which is correct about the World Trade Organization. So here, if you know about the World Trade Organization, then only you will be able to answer this question. For this, the options given are, it was established in 1995. Second one is WTO headquarters is located in the Geneva, Switzerland. And the third sentence is, it is an intergovernmental organization. Here they given you the code and you have to select the correct one. So here, if you want to answer this question, you must know about the World Trade Organization. Unless and until you will be not able to answer this question. So World Trade Organization, that is WTO, is an intergovernmental organization. It is established by the agreement on the 15th April 1994 it is a primarily deal with the trade relationship between some member country. WTO aim at having a smooth, free and easy trade route between the all trading partners among its member country. Its headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland. The subsidiary is International Trade Center. The purpose is to reduce the tariff and other barriers to the trade, and the membership is 164 member states. Though it was established on 15th April 1994, but it actually started in 1995. So here it was established in 1995 will not be wrong. So it is correct. Okay. So the option D will be the correct answer for this question, because the World Trade Organization was established in 1995. It's a headquarters in the Geneva, Switzerland, correct, and it is an intergovernmental organization. So all these statements are correct. The supplementary foreign exchange reserve special drawing right is defined and maintained by which of the following institute? Here they ask you about the special drawing right, that is SDR. Okay, for this the first option is World Bank. World Bank is an international financial institute that provides loans and grants to the government of a low and middle income countries for the purpose of pursuing the capital project. Second one is International Monetary Fund, that is IMF, is an organization of 190 countries working to foster the global monetary corporation, secure the financial stability, facilitate the international trade, promote the high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce the poverty around the world. Then is Asian Development Bank. Asian Development Bank is a regional development bank established on the 19 December 1966, which headquarters in the central located in the city of Metro Manila, Philippines. The company also maintains 31 field offices around the world to promote the social and economic development in Asia. And the last one is World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is an intergovernmental organization that regulate and facilitate the international trade. Government used to organize to establish the rivers and enforce the rule that govern the international trade. The correct answer here is option number B, that is IMF, International Monetary Fund. Which of the following is not a part of the World Bank Group? In this question they ask you given which is not a part of the World Bank Group. For this the first option is WTO, that is World Trade Organization, which I explained you in my previous question. Then is IBRD. IBRD is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It is an international financial institute established in 1944 and the headquarters is in Washington DC, United States. That is the lending arm of World Bank Group. Then is IFC. Here the International Finance Corporation means the IFC is an international financial institute that offer the investment, advisory and asset management services to encourage the private sector development in a less developed country. The IFC is a member of the World Bank Group and its headquarters is in Washington DC in the United States. Then is IDA. Here the IDA is a International Development Association, is the international financial institute which offer the concessional loan and grant to the world poorest developing country. The IDA is a member of the World Bank Group and is a headquarters in the Washington DC in the United States. So when I explain that IBRD is a part of the World Bank, right? IFC is also the part of the World Bank and IDA is also the part of the World Bank. So here the one option is remaining, that is WTO. So here the WTO is not a part of the World Bank Group. So option A is the correct. Which of the following currency is not used in the calculation of special drawing right, that is SDR, by the IMF? In this question they ask you given which currency not used in the calculation of the special drawing right, that is SDR. Now what is SDR? SDR is a special drawing right or a supplementary foreign exchange reserve, a set defined and maintained by the International Monetary Fund, that is IMF. SDR are a unit of account for the IMF and not a currency per se. So the options given are, first one is rupee, second one is US dollar, third one is Japanese yen, and the last one is Chinese renminbi. Okay. The currency value of SDR is determined by summing the value of US dollar based on the market exchange rate of the basket of a major currency, the US dollar, euro, Japanese yen, pound, and the Chinese renminbi. So the correct answer here is option number A. The rupee is not used in the calculation of special drawing right, that is in the SDR by the IMF. The International Monetary Fund, that is IMF, was established in which of the following year? In this question they ask you about the IMF and when it established. So here the options given are 1944, second option is 1945, third option is 1955, and the last option is 1960. I explained you the IMF in my previous question, right? So you must know the answer for this question, but still I am going to tell you again. So IMF was established in 1944 in the aftermath of the Great Depreciation of the 1930. 44 founding member countries sought to build a framework for the International Economic Corporation. Its membership embraced the 190 countries with a staff drawn from the 150 nations. So the answer here for this question is option number A, that is 1944. India became member of the International Monetary Fund in which of the following year? In this question they ask you, our country, that is India, become the member of the IMF. Okay, in which year? So the options is 1945, second is 1948, third is 1953, and the last one is 2014. So being the founder member of the International Monetary Fund, India signed the IMF agreement on December 27, 1945. Until the 1970, India's subscription quota was the fifth largest. Up to the 1970, India held the position of the permanent executive director on the board. So the correct answer is option number A, that is 1945. The International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, that is IBRD, a development bank administered by which of the following institution? So first option is World Bank. The World Bank is an international financial institute that provides loans and grants to the government of a low and a middle income country for the purpose of pursuing the capital project. Please understand the concept. Okay. Second one is IMF. Is the organization of the 190 countries working for the foster economic monetary corporation, securing the financial stability, facilitate the international trade, promote the high employment and the sustainable economic growth. Third one is Asian Development Bank. Again, the Asian Development Bank is a regional development bank established on the 19 December 1966. And the last one is World Trade Organization. It is a intergovernmental organization that regulates and facilitates the international trade. The correct answer is option number A, that is World Bank. The next question is, consider the following statement and identify the right one. Here they given you the two statement and you have to identify the correct one. The first statement is IMF came into the existence as an outcome on the Bretton Woods Agreement, and the second one is France was the first country to borrow from the IMF. For this the options given is first only, second is second only, third is both, and last is none. So here the IMF was originally laid out as a part of the Bretton Woods System Exchange Agreement in 1944. During the Great Depreciation, the country sharply raised the barrier to the trade in the attempt to improve their failing economy. This led to the devaluation of the nation currency and decline in the world trade. And the France, on the 1st March 1947, the IMF became its financial operation, and on the 8th May, France became the first country to borrow from it. Okay. That means given both the statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. So option C will be the correct answer for this question. ultimately which was replaced by the which on the 1st January 1995. For this, the first option is GATS and WTO. Now, what is the full form of GATS? That is a General Agreement on Trade and Services. The General Agreement on the Trade and Services is a treaty of the World Trade Organization which entered into the force on January 1995 as a result of urgency ground negotiation. The WTO, that is World Trade Organization, is an intergovernmental organization that regulate and facilitate the international trade. Government use the organization to establish, revise and enforce the rules that govern the international trade. Second option is WTO and GATT. Now here you know the meaning of WTO. Now what is the meaning of GATT? The full form of GATT is General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. Is a legally agreement between the many countries, thus the overall purpose was to promote the international trade by reducing and eliminating the trade barrier such as a tariff and a quota. Third option is GATT and WTO, and the last option is IMF and GATT. Here the IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, is an international financial institution. Headquarters is in Washington DC, consisting of 190 countries, is a stated mission in working to the foster global monetary cooperation, secure the financial stability, facilitate the international trade, promote the high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce the poverty around the world. The correct answer here is option number C, that is ultimately GATT was replaced by WTO on 1st January 1995. The next question is, according to this theory, the holding of a country's treasure primarily in the form of a gold constitutes its wealth. For this, the first option is gold theory. As per this theory, a country should grow its revenue of the gold and silver by encouraging the export and discouraging the import. The theory implies that country should have a trade surplus with export more than the import. Second option is Ricardo theory. David Ricardo was classical economics, best known for his theory on the wages and profit, the labor theory of the value, the theory of comparative advantage, and the theory of the rent. David Ricardo and several other economists also simultaneously and independently discovered the law of a diminishing marginal return. Third one is mercantilism. Mercantilism is the economy policy that is designed to maximize the export and minimize the import of the economy. It promotes the colonialism, tariff and the subsidies on the traded good to achieve that goal. And third one is Hacker theory. HO theory is also known as a HO theory state that if two countries produce the two goods and uses the two factor of the production to produce these goods, each will export the good that make the most use of the factor that is the most abundant. The correct answer here is option number C, that is mercantilism theory. The next question here is capitalist, communist and mix are types of. Here the capitalism is the economic system based on the private ownership of the means of a production and the operation for the profit. Then is communism is the philosophical, social, political and economic ideology and the movement those goods is established for the communist society, namely a social economic order structure upon the idea of a common or a social ownership of all the property and the absence of a social class, money and a state. Mixed economy is a variously defined as an economic system blending the elements of the market economy with the element of a planned economy, market with the state intervention or a private enterprise with the public enterprise. For this, the first option is economic system. Here, what is the economic system? An economic system is a system of a production, resource allocation and a distribution of goods and services within the society or a given geographic area. Second one is social system. In a sociological, social system is a pattern network of a relationship constitute a whole that exists between the individual group and a institution. It is a formal structure of a role and a status that can form in the small stable group. Third one is cultural attitude. Cultural attitude, value and the goal each person learn in his culture what is a good, true and the beautiful. Attitude, value and a goal are defined by the culture, while the individual normally learn them unconsciously as he learn the language. And the last one is political system. A political system defines the process of making the official government decision. It usually comprises of the legal system, economic system, cultural system and other social system. This is a very simplified view of a much more complex system of categories involved in the question of who should have authority and what a government influence on its people and the economy should be. The correct answer here for this question is option number A, that is economic system. What is a payment method most often used in an international trade which offer the exporter best assurance of being paid for a product sold internationally? For this, the first option is bill of lading. Here a bill of lading is a document which is issued by the carrier to acknowledge the receipt of a cargo for a shipment. Although the term historically related only to the carriage of a sea, a bill of lading may today be used for any type of a carriage of the good. Second is letter of a credit. Now here, what is a letter of a credit? Letter of a credit is also known as documentary credit or a banker commercial credit or a letter of a undertaking is a payment mechanism used in an international trade to provide the economic guarantee for the creditworthy bank to an exporter of the good. Third option is open account. Open account is a payment term under which the buyer promises to pay a seller within the predetermined number of a day and the seller does not restrict the availability of the document that controls the possession right to the goods. And the last option is draft, a written order to pay a specific sum. Letter of the credit is a payment method most often used in the international trade which offer the exporter best assurance of being paid for the product sold internationally. So the answer is option number B. Key controllable factor in the global marketing are. Here they ask you about the key controllable factor which is there in the global marketing. For this, the first option is government policy and legislation. Here the government policy is the rules or a principle that hopefully better guide decisions resulting in positive outcome that enhance the community or a unit. Government policies contain the reason thing to be done in a certain way and why. Legislation is a process or a product of enacting or promulgating the law by the legislature, parliament or a governing body. Second option is social and technical changes. Social changes may refer to the notion of a social progress or a social culture evaluation, the philosophical idea that society move forward by evaluatory means. And technical changes refer to the changes in the production function, embodying all the techniques. Thus the technical changes in the context of economic development must result in a more outcome for some resources or some amount of the output. Third option is marketing activity and a plan. Marketing plan is a document that lay out the marketing efforts of a business in an upcoming period, which is usually a year. It outlined a marketing strategy, promotional and advertising activity plan for the period. Means how you are going to market your product. That is the plan. Okay, and a marketing activity that can be planned under one of this category based on its objective. Okay. And the last option is all of the above. For this question, the correct answer is option number C. That is, marketing activity and a plan is a key controllable factor in global marketing. Given which corporation produces in a single home country or in a single country and focuses on the marketing thing product globally or vice versa. For this, the first option is global. A global corporation is also known as a global company is a coin from base term global, which means all around the world. It makes sense to assume that global company is a company that does a business over the world. Second option is international. Doing a business internationally, okay, going outside your own country. If the India is doing a business with the America, that means India is going internationally. Third option is transnational. Transnational corporation may be defined as a company or an enterprise which operate in a number of the country and which have a production and services facility outside the country of its origin. And the last option here is none of the above. The correct answer here is option number A. Global corporation produces in the home country or in a single country and focuses on the marketing this product globally or the vice versa. So here they ask you which is the first step in the internationalization process. So for this you have to know about the internationalization. Internationalization process consists of the internationalization of the production. This process increases the economic tie between the nation economy, making a country being a part of a global production process on the basis of an international division of the labor, production and a scientific technical specialization and a corporation. For this, the first option is license. License is the official permission or a permit to do, use or own something. A license is granted by a party to the another party as an element of the agreement between those parties. Second option is foreign investment. Foreign investment is an investment in a form of controlling the ownership in the business in a one country by an entity based in the another country. It is thus distinct from the foreign portfolio investment by a notion of a direct control. Then is sale. Sale are the activity related to the selling or a number of goods sold in the given targeted time period. Here we are selling our goods to the buyer. Okay. And the last one is the export. So here export means like a selling only, but here we are selling internationally. When we sell within the country, that time we say it is a sale. But when we are selling to the outside country, that time we are saying that it is an export of our good. Okay. For this, the correct answer is option number A. License is the first step in internationalization process. The next question here is the OECD stand for. Here they ask you the full form of OECD. For this, the options given are Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Second is Organization for Economic Coordination and Development. Third one is Organization for Environment Cooperation and Development. And last one is Organization for Environmental Control and Development. Here the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development is a intergovernmental economic organization with the 38 member country founded in 1961 to stimulate the economic progress and world trade. It is a forum of the country describing themselves as a committed to the democracy and a market economy, providing a platform to compare the policy experience, seek answer to the common problem, identify the good practices and coordinate the domestic and international policy of its members. The majority of OECD members are a high income economy with a very high Human Development Index and as regarded as a developed countries. So here the full form is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. That means answer A is correct. Here the next question is, which is the right sequence of the stages of internationalization? Here they ask you about the sequence of internationalization. First of all, you have to understand what is a internationalization. In the economy, internationalization is the process of increasing the involvement of the enterprise in the international market, although there is no agreed definition for the internationalization. For this, the options given are domestic, transnational, global, international and multinational. Second option is domestic, international, multinational, global and transnational. Third is domestic, multinational, international, transnational and global. And last one is domestic, international, transnational, multinational and the global. Here the domestic meaning within the country. Okay. Whatever business, whatever trade we are doing within the country is called a domestic, in the domestic market. Then is a international where we are doing a business with another country outside the country. If the India is doing the business with another country, that is called a international. We are going the internationally. Third one is multinational. A multinational company is the corporate organization that own and control the production of goods and services in at least one country other than its home country. Okay. Then is global. Global trade is also known as international trade. It simply means import and export of goods and services across the international boundaries. Goods and services that enter into the country for a sale are called a import, and whatever we are selling outside the country, that is called a export. We are exporting our good. Okay. And last one is transnational, the exchange of a people, idea, technology and money between the nation. For this, the correct answer will be option number B, that is domestic, then will be the international, then is a multinational, then is global and then is a transnational. Okay. So this will be the answer. The next question here is, subsidiary considered as a regional environment for policy strategy formation is known as. Here the regional environmental changes is a board aim and scope publisher research in the interaction between the human and a natural system at a regional level, defines a regional broadly and examine them at any appropriate scale, feature both the theoretical and applied study, emphasis the multidisciplinary perspective. For this, the first option is polycentric approach. Here a polycentric approach is an international recruitment method wherein the HR recruit the personnel for the international business. In the polycentric approach, the nation of the host country are a recruit for the managerial position to carry out the operation of the subsidiary company. Second option is Regiocentric approach. Regiocentric approach uses the manager from a various country within the geographic region of the business. Although the manager operate relatively independent in the region, they are not normally moved to the company headquarters. Third one is Ethnocentric approach. Ethnocentric approach is one of an international recruitment method in which all the positions for an international business around the globe are filled from the parent country. This approach focuses on hiring the right candidate for a right position within the business, consider their skill set and a willingness to mix with the organization culture. And the last one is geocentric approach. Geocentric approach is a method of international recruitment where the MNC hire the most suitable person for the job irrespective of their internationally. The correct answer here is option number B, that is regiocentric approach.